How long before a body starts to smell? How to stop a body from decomposing? 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. How to clean blood from a wooden floor. Hacksaw, best tool to dismember. Can you be charged with M without a body? Those are just some of the searches that came up on Brian Walsh's devices. For those of you that are wondering, why is someone like Brian Walsh being brought to trial and everybody seems to be saying that it's a surefire thing he's going to get convicted. Yet at the same time, someone like Wendy Adelson continues to skate by 11 years after the murder of her ex-husband, in which, by many accounts, she seems to have played a very large part in. She has not even been indicted. So let me break it down. As I've said in some of our prior videos discussing Wendy Adelson, and I'll link the videos again in the description below, one of the most powerful ways a prosecution can use to convict a defendant is their very own words. It could be written words, it could be audio, like for Wendy was her mother and her brother. It could be video, but the defendant themselves, what they say, what they do can be used against them. So what do we have for Brian Walsh? Well, we have the search terms that there was testimony from members of the police department and law enforcement regarding these search terms that came up on Brian Walsh's devices. Very damning. For Wendy, what do we have? We have a text message where she said to her ex-husband something to the effect of, "It's been nice while it lasted." In terms of forensic device searches, that appears to be at least that we know of, the crux of the information that we have against Wendy. Now, there's other evidence too against Wendy, which we've gotten into in prior videos. But in terms of her actual words, we have that text message and we have her police interview with Brian Walsh, and we're going to listen to it in a minute, his police interview and the searches on his devices. I'm going to play just a clip of Brian Walsh's police interview that was played for the jury at the trial. What's so damning, and you can see a big difference between Brian Walsh and Wendy, is not just what Brian Walsh said, but as the prosecution said in their opening statement, how he said it. He said it very calmly. He said it like he was just talking about his work, how his day went at work, who he spoke to at the water cooler, what happened with the Knicks, they probably lost. What happened with the Jets, they definitely lost. What happened with the Dolphins, they for sure lost. What happened, with the weather, just kind of day to day. So that, I think, is something a jury's going to hear. Not just what he said, but how he said it. And next we'll contrast that to Wendy's police interview, and you'll see a big difference. And it underscores why a person like Brian Walsh is seemingly at this stage so easy to convict. Yet Wendy, 11 years go by and she still has not been charged. So let's have a listen. And we're going to play this at 1.25 speed, but this is the beginning of the police interview that was played for the jury.
November 30th from DCA.
Let's back up a little bit.
And it's at 7.
Whatever you want to do with that.
All right, so it looks like on last Thursday at 7:36 p.m. There's a screenshot of the JetBlue app, and it's a travel itinerary. It's a flight B6254, dated December 30th, from DCA Terminal 2, gate C28, to Boston, Terminal C, gate C33. So it's departs at 6:30 a.m. Arrives at Boston 7:57 a.m.
Faster.
Here
Here we go.
And if you want to look at it, there's probably the years worth of text there. If any of that is supportive, please.
Sure. No, I'm not looking at Brian. I'm just really.
I'm open. I'm going to trust.
So the audio is not great, but the point is not as much what he says, but how he says it.
That's
No, I appreciate it. So Friday around 6:01 a.m., you text flight on time. She responds amongst other things, yes, 40 now. Friday 7:59 a.m. landed. And then it looks like Friday 12:07 p.m. Photos of Anna and the oldest Thomas.
yeah.
6 years old, my man.
Gonna raise the volume.
Send them to herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so
She should take my phone and send them to herself.
Okay, very good.
So just one point of context, this interview, it got cut out in the beginning, but this is on January 4th. So that's already 3 days after Brian Walsh, by his own admission, says that Anna was missing.
Okay, I know it's exciting for you guys.
So that was a series of 7 photos sent Friday at 6:33 p.m. And Anna sent this group of photos?
I believe so. I took the photos. A lot of times I take the photos and she takes my phone and sends it to herself.
Okay. Monday, 2:33 p.m. A text from you to Anna. Monday, 7:18 p.m. Another text. Yesterday, a text. 6:39 a.m. Continuing to 8:30 a.m.
Usually she'd be back in touch with me at this point.
What's Viber? Calling you in Viber now?
Viber is what her sister uses. That's how it's like a WhatsApp or something.
Oh, okay.
So Viber is from a long time ago. She would use that to communicate with you and stuff like that. So when her SIM card died last week, she called me on Viber. So I called Viber.
Okay.
Sister uses it. So I tried every sort of situation I could to get in touch.
Okay.
Before going to this other thing.
Sure. Did the SIM card issue ever get resolved?
I believe so. Her phone was working when she came here.
Okay. It's my understanding that it's a company phone.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So
And it's on Verizon, if you know.
no, so we're on Verizon. I don't know what the company is on, but I know that she was part of our family plan, and then she just ported over.
She got the number over to their system.
She took the phone over.
Okay.
So like that was canceled and moved over.
Okay.
But I think she took the number as well because we didn't change numbers.
Right. Okay. So she took the family plan number
And
to work, and then work to start paying for it.
Yeah, basically,
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent.
I guess they call it porting it over.
For yep. One carrier gets up to that carrier.
Yeah, but I think they don't use Verizon.
Okay.
T-Mobile.
Okay. Okay. So she flies in. I see the text around 7 a.m. How does she get from the airport to home?
Yeah, she always Uber or Lyft.
Uber, Lyft.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Uber was one of the two.
Okay. And then so she gets dropped off here.
Usually they drop off further down because they don't find the place. So, but that's pretty much.
Sure. So
That's why.
All right, I think that's enough. You can hear, the point is you hear from his voice, he just sounds very calm, very collected. The defense tried to argue that he was panicked and his wife was just died suddenly and he didn't know what to do, so he just panicked. He sounds very calm, and jury's going to hear that. You don't need anybody to testify as to how he sounded or that it seems suspicious that he sounded so calm. A jury will hear him talking 3 days that his wife who's supposedly the love of his life, as the defense said in their opening statement, and is just missing the mother of his kids, just missing, and he just sounds very calm, like he's just having a conversation with you about anything. Now, let's contrast that to Wendy's police interview. And I think this will really drill home the point.
So you never took the last name of Markle?
No.
So just looking at her right off the bat, again, whether or not it's a show or she's acting, a lot of the podcasters have debated it, have broken it down, but a jury is not going to hear all the commentary. They're not going to come in with the knowledge of the 11 years regarding all the other people who were convicted of this crime. If they're looking at this interview for the first time and you don't know anything else, she looks upset. She's leaning forward. Her face, just her facial expressions look distraught. Now let's listen to her voice.
Adelson.
Now it's true for Brian Walsh, we only had audio. We don't have video. So is it possible that if there was a video that could have worked out more in Brian Walsh's favor, maybe you would see some emotion that was not heard on just the audio? Possible, but we don't have it. And his voice sounded pretty unemotional.
Okay. Wendy with an I. Joe. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Okay. When she hears the news, again, just look at her reaction. If a jury sees that for her first time and she has a good defense attorney, again, prosecution will say what they say. It was an act, this, that, another thing. But just looking at this, it can evoke sympathy. It looks at first glance genuine. She's crying. She's breaking down.
I'm sorry, I remember the tremendous party. What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay. And then once we've established all that, I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God.
All right. I think that's the point. You look at Wendy, again, she seems distraught. A lot of people will probably give me flack. They're going to tell me it's an act. She's a criminal. That may be so. My point is, what is a jury going to think? And that is why someone like Brian Walsh appears to be on the verge of getting convicted, why he's already been brought to trial, and someone like Wendy Adelson, 11 years later, is still free. Wendy Adelson may very well be just as guilty as Brian Walsh, but it's about what you can prove to a jury, and that's the system. And if you're going to look at some of her own words and their own actions, Wendy, at first glance, can seem to be more convincing that she was not a part of this. Whereas Brian Walsh, pretty damn hard to make that argument. The defense is trying, and I give them credit, but at the end of the day, the facts are what they are. Brian Walsh's searches are what they are. His own words, I think, will ultimately come to haunt him. Again, I am optimistic that justice will come for Wendy, but it's going to take time, and it's a hard battle. So that's it for now. I hope everyone got value out of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We've got many new things in the pipeline I'm going to share with you in the coming weeks, but thanks for joining, and we'll see everybody next time.